Good morning, Standard 10th. So in the last class, we revised till the topic demerit of average income, that it hides disparities. And today we'll revise the rest of the topics of chapter 1. But before starting with today's class, I would like to tell you all something about your test. Students, kindly go through all the instructions given to you thoroughly and follow them while taking your online tests. Also, remember the date, subject and time slot of your examinations on various days. While taking the test, do not leave it in between. Complete each question in the given time and then move ahead to the next question, as the questions once displayed will not be displayed again. So make sure that you mark your answer in the specified time. Also, do not press the back button or refresh option. Doing this will end your test for that particular subject then and there. Hence, you won't be able to complete your test. And students, kindly go through all the instructions several times so that you do not make any mistake. And please read your chapter line by line so that you do not miss any point. The questions will be in multiple choice format. Now let us start with today's class. So the first topic that we have to study in today's class is income and other criteria. In this table, per capita income is used as a criterion to compare these three states, that is Haryana, Kerala and Bihar. And according to this table, we can say that out of these three, Haryana is the most developed one and Bihar is the least developed state. Now, let us observe this table. Students, in this table, there is no mention about per capita income. Instead, there are other criteria used to compare these three states. And the criteria used are infant mortality rate, literacy rate, and net attendance ratio. Students, we have already discussed the meaning of these terms. Also, the definitions are given in your book. So please read and learn the definitions of these terms. According to this table, in Kerala, out of 1,000 children born, 10 died before completing 1 year of age. Whereas in Haryana, the proportion of children dying within 1 year of birth was 33, which is just triple. On the other hand, if we talk about table 1.3, then according to that, the per capita income of Haryana is more than that of Kerala. So students, from both these tables, we can conclude that money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. The per capita income of Haryana is more than that of Kerala. But still, due to lack of proper public facilities, the IMR of Haryana is more than that of Kerala, and also the literacy rate of Haryana is less than that of Kerala. So we can say that besides money, there are other important attributes also that should be used for comparison between countries or states. Now, the next topic that we have to study is public facilities. These are the services provided by the government to the citizens. Students, we just now studied that money in your pocket cannot buy you all the goods and services that you need to live well. We need proper public facilities as well. For example, students, today you are able to study because other children in your country also want to study. And the government has taken proper initiative to provide educational facilities. Suppose you have a lot of money, but then there are no proper educational facility in your country. Then you won't be able to study unless you can afford to shift to a country that has these facilities. Now, the cheapest way to provide public facilities is to provide them collectively. It's obvious that nobody will open a school for each student. Students, we discussed that Kerala has low infant mortality rate because it has adequate provision of basic health and educational facilities. Similarly, in some states, public distribution system functions well, and so health and nutritional status of people of such states is likely to be better. So students, public facilities are very important in a country, and remember that money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services that you may need to live well. Next, we have to study significance of public facilities. The first significance is welfare motive. Students, the government takes up production activities not for making profit but to generate social welfare. Number 2, the government also makes sure that the basic minimum necessities are available to the citizens for a decent standard of living. Number 3, the government also assists different sectors to develop by giving cheap credit. Number 4, there are certain collective benefits like law and order, social equality that cannot be achieved by individual alone and so are provided by the government. And number 5, it also encourages human capital formation. Students, you all have written these points in your notes, just go through it once. Now, the next topic that we have to study is body mass index. Students, it is a measure of body fat based on height and weight that applies to adult men and women. Why only adult men and women? Because their height and weight remains constant, whereas for children it keeps on changing. The formula to calculate body mass index is weight in kilogram divided by square of height in meters. Students, there are a few BMI categories that you must know. If the body mass index of a person will be less than 18.5, then that person will be categorized as underweight. If the body mass index will be between 18.5 to 25, then that index will be considered as normal weight. And if the index will be more than 25, then that person will be categorized as overweight. Next, you have to study about Human Development Report. Students, this report is published by United Nations Development Programme, that is UNDP, and it compares countries on the basis of educational level of people, their health status, and per capita income. The criteria used in this report are: number 1, per capita income. Students, we have already studied about this term, that it measures the average income earned per person in a country in a specified year. Next term is life expectancy. Students, this refers to the average expected length of life of a person at the time of birth. And the third criteria used is mean years of schooling. Students, you don't have to study the definition of this term. Students, according to this report, out of all the neighboring countries of India that are mentioned here, Sri Lanka has a better human development ranking than India. Students, till now you have studied about two reports, that is World Development Report and Human Development Report. Now here are few points of differences between these two. So let us just go through these points. The first point of difference is on the basis of criteria used in these reports for comparison between countries. So WDR uses per capita income as a base for comparison, whereas HDR considers education, health and per capita income as a criteria for comparison. Number 2 is on the basis of the organization that issues these reports. So WDR is issued by World Bank, whereas HDR is published by UNDP. Third point of difference is that World Development Report is unidimensional because it uses only per capita income as a base for comparison, whereas HDR is multidimensional. And number 4, HDR implies quality of life. It takes various criteria for comparison, whereas WDR takes into account only the quantitative aspect of development. Next, we have to study about sustainable development. Students, it can be defined as development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising with the needs of the future generation. Thus, sustainable development refers to the development which should keep going. Students, it is a process in which natural resource base is not allowed to deteriorate. To fulfill the needs, resources are required, but the resources are scarce. Hence, development must ensure the availability of resources in present as well as future. Needs are infinite. Hence, with limited resources, unlimited needs cannot be fulfilled. Thus, sustainable development focuses on the fulfillment of necessities as greed is unlimited. Students, in the process of development, we are causing serious damage to the environment. And so, one must aim at sustainable development, as it focuses on eco-friendly methods of production without polluting the environment. This statement is taken from your NCERT textbook. It means that the resources that we are using today are not given to us by our elder generation, but they belong to the future generation. So we must use them in such a way that they are sufficient for the present as well as for the future. The present population has to believe that they are having full responsibility to keep the earth protected from all kinds of misuse. Next, you have to study about renewable and non-renewable resources. So students, renewable resources are those resources that can be replenished by nature, whereas non-renewable resources are those resources that will get exhausted after years of use. In your book, 2 examples are given. Please read those 2 examples. One is of groundwater and the second one is about overuse of crude oil. Questions may come from those 2 case studies. Students, groundwater is an example of renewable resource, but even these resources may be overused if we will use more than what is being replenished by rain. Next, we have to study that why is sustainable development important. So students, the first point is that sustainable development helps in conservation of non-renewable resources, and so it should be planned. Number 2, sustainable development aims at fulfillment of essential needs, and by this it helps us in using the resources carefully for fulfillment of needs and not greed. And number 3, development activities like industrialization, use of chemical fertilizers have caused severe damage to the environment, and hence we should aim at sustainable development. As sustainable development helps in protecting the environment for the present as well as for the future generation. Next, we have to study that what are the different ways to achieve sustainable development. So students, the first way to achieve that is new stocks of resources should be generated as the resources are being used. For example, the unused land that we have can be covered by forests. Number 2, alternative resources of energy like wind energy and solar energy should be used, and they should replace the non-renewable resources. Number 3, the non-renewable resources like coal, petroleum should be conserved. Number 4, environmental degradation should be prevented. There are other ways too. For example, resources should be judiciously used for urgent needs. And so resource planning is one way to achieve sustainable development. Students, all these points that are written on the slide have been discussed, and these are very simple points. So just go through these points once. Students, the problem of degradation today is not confined only to few countries, but it has assumed global dimension. We are now faced with increased demand for environmental resources, but their supply is limited. Students, remember, nature has abundance of resources to fulfill everybody's needs, but not everyone's greed. And so we need to differentiate between urgent needs and unlimited needs. So with this, we are done with the revision of chapter 1. Students, kindly read the chapter line by line. The questions will be in multiple choice format. Do not leave any point. One more thing, the tables that are given in this chapter, you don't have to learn the data and figures, but you have to understand and learn the concept and the conclusions drawn from those tables. Students, all the very best for your test. Do well. Thank you, everyone.